to the action. Here we go. And welcome everyone back to the Mechanics Institute for the 2021 U.S. Amateur Team West Championship. This is round two. I'm Abel Talamantes, chess director at the Mechanics Institute, and joining me is our Grandmaster in Residence, three-time U.S. champion, Grandmaster Nick DeFermian, and FIDE Master Paul Whitehead. And we have some amazing matchups here in round two. And the first thing that caught my eye is the tournament's top seed, which is a Mechanics Institute team we put together with Kyron Griffith and Jim Tarjan and Jonah Bush and Chelsea Zhu. They got paired up with another team that has some mechanics legends. So this is board one of the match. FIDE Master Kyron Griffith playing white against International Master, former MI chess director John Donaldson. And we are.
Paul, what's your guess on this game? Just tell us something to get us.
I always like these kind of. I mean, looks like White's got the slightly better pawn structure, but what do you think? I mean, Black is probably active enough here.
Well, what's funny is John Donaldson hasn't played that much in recent years, but Kyron's been playing a lot, and he's really
totally in form,
fighting shape. So, but John's a great player, of course, a legend, and yeah. Then you look at the position, and it seems like White's gotten a little opening edge there.
Definitely. What was the? I guess it was a Sicilian.
Yes, Accelerated Dragon.
Accelerated Dragon. I mean, John's been playing this for 50 years.
Yes.
It's the Jeremy Silman, John Donaldson opening at this point. It's kind of.
And through the first, we're on move 21 here, and through the first 15 moves, Kyron actually increased time. So
yeah, I mean,
he was aware.
John's probably easy to prepare against. But John probably has, faith in this position. And White's not quite threatening rook e7 yet, but he will be in a move or two.
Rook e7 would lose to queen takes e7 and the back rank checkmate.
So how does Black equalize here to this pressure, Nick?
Well,
what would you do? What would you do if you were Black to try to stave off the pressure?
I might go rook g7, just hold that e-pawn. And then maybe Kyron would stop the back rank checkmate with h3 or something. And
yeah.
And if you go king to g7,
queen c3 or something, or I don't know. Whew.
Queen c3, I'm wondering if you can play f6 and try to get the onto e5. But it does, yes, White's got the activity. Black's looking to hold everything together.
Yeah, I mean, Kyron's good at these kind of positions too, kind of grinding it out. I mean, I don't know.
And equally captivating in this very match is board two, where we are seeing Mechanics Institute trustee FIDE Master Mark Pinto playing Grandmaster Jim Tarjan for the Mechanics Institute.
Oh gosh, this opening.
The Dutch, the Raphael variation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it looks to me like Mark Pinto's done well in the opening. A little edge.
Yeah,
He can,
yeah.
a bishop on e5 looks very nice, and if it gets exchanged, he's, you know, Tarzan's left with the worst bishop.
So, and meanwhile, what should black do? Some kind of b5, a5 thing or something? I'm not sure how to handle this.
Yes, where does black go? King side, queen side?
Or try to exchange and play e5, or knight d7, or not yet, bishop f7, and
just knight e4 in the center.
These structures are hard for me to understand.
So we'll keep an eye on this match and check out the action in some of the others. This is Grandmaster Patrick Wolf playing white for Tonight We're Gonna Checkmate Like It's 1989 against FIDE Master Andy Lee from
wow, Andy Lee.
4 Isolated Pawns.
And yet, don't pay any attention to this rating at 1852. This is a strong.
Yeah, he's 2,300.
Yeah, this is a very strong player, and a very aggressive player as well.
Will you look at that move? He's gone bishop to g4, just letting that d5 pawn hang.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Well, I guess it can be knight takes b5, the queen goes back to d8.
And that's we're about to find out.
You think that might have been a straight hang?
Well, no, because as Nick points out, I mean I think after queen d8, white can't maintain the knight on d5 and then the pawn at d4, but.
Yeah, looks like black just gets the pawn back on d4.
So bishop c4, I guess black would take on f3 and then play e6?
Yes. And then I don't know, can get a little complicated. White throws in bishop to d5 before moving that knight on d5.
I'm trying to find some tricky move for white here.
Yes. It's very complicated. Really a good sharp game.
Yeah. And I'm curious, this opening was what? What do you think, Nick? What was the opening before Abel tells us?
It could also have been an accelerated dragon.
It says Sicilian Alpine variation. 2G6.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so you're right. It's in a way it is an accelerated dragon.
The knight would just retreat. Bishop takes on f3 and knight to d5. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like black has done okay here.
So we would try your line bishop to c4, bishop takes f3, pawn takes, and
pawn to e6.
On to e6, then bishop to g5 to
gum up the works.
Yes. And if queen to d7, the knight will come to f6 check.
Yes.
Bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6, knight takes d4, and castle's long. Probably a good position for white.
Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
Checking on another matchup here. This is the top board on UC Berkeley Team B playing white. FIDE Master Ryan Tagazade against a happy pawn. So he's playing Jennifer Yu.
How can you root against someone with a name like that?
As soon as black plays f4, white's going to be in serious trouble here. Maybe white should move his king to b2.
That's quite a thought to castle on the queen side.
Or just by hand, maybe. I don't want to put the white king on the king side here.
Jennifer agreed. She's just getting that lazy knight on b1 into the game and keeping her option where her king will go.
Actually, I think Jennifer is black.
Jennifer's black.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
This looks like, you know what this is? This is like a reversed win hour or something, with something getting exchanged on b4, bishops getting exchanged on b4. Very odd.
So we'll keep track of that, but let's go back to the top board on the top table. Kyron Griffith and John Donaldson.
And John played that e6, played e6. So now, I mean, that's kind of appealing too, Nick, right? Because it just, and unless your bishop gets trapped on f5, it just puts a complete stop to the play on the e file.
But that does worry me, that bishop getting trapped on f5.
But that's just a small thing between two strong players, right? You know?
One little bishop. I mean, for instance, if white goes pawn to h3, and your idea is moving the queen, trap the bishop with g4. I'm wondering how you defend against that.
Or start with queen c3, maybe?
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I want to keep the option. Maybe the queen wants to go to e3 or.
Yeah.
But just like that other game where we said, play pawn to h6 or pawn to h3, just don't get backline checkmated.
You never know when it comes back. Let's take a look at board 3 in this matchup, and this is Jonah Bush playing white.
This was a win hour.
This is definitely a win hour. This is the kind of position where black looks like, unless white needs to run the pawns up on the king side to get some play here.
And then board 4 in this matchup is here. This is Joseph Graves for the Factory playing against Chelsea Zhu for the Mechanics Institute.
The Factory, huh?
Did they tell you why they chose that name?
He did not tell me. Mark did not tell me that. I gotta ask him. I think I made a joke like the glue factory or
Well, black, if black can get in a4 or something, it could turn. Black's got some chances here, I would say. Dynamic chances.
Yeah, white's got the squares, but if he doesn't hold on to everything and black gets loose, as you say, with a4 or something, then it just turns around.
And then we'll jump back to the top board as we keep an eye on all this stuff. Kyron Griffith has played queen e3.
Well, that still doesn't threaten queen takes a7, does it? Because of queen e5, but there is this trapping the bishop business.
Yeah, but maybe now John can go queen to d4.
And then you have a miserable endgame, probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe the d file is enough to make it not miserable.
No, maybe you're right. Queen to d4, queen takes d4, queen takes d4. Again, pawn to h3. My idea was rook to d2, but then rook c5. And you're right, the endgame's just better for white. I don't like John's move pawn to e6.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work. Kyron must be quite happy with this opening, with this position now. Black's in for a defensive.
And let's take a look at another team matchup as we take a look at the match between Stanford A team against. We sneezed on the beat and the beat got sicker. This is International Master Bryce Tiglon against Shreya Mangalam.
Well, here we have Black with pressure on the G file, but White, he's got to watch out for Queen C7 mate. There goes the G file. H4. So knight H5 maybe?
And queen e5 attacks the knight.
Oh yes, and queen H4 is still impossible. Maybe G3 then? I don't know.
Yes, and the queen takes the knight on h5, pawn takes the bishop on h2.
And rook C2.
Very interesting, yes.
The board 2 in this matchup is right here. It says Arya Hosley for the beat against WIM Emily Nguyen.
Oh no, look at this. Exciting here.
So it's been
surely Black has a great game. Somehow.
Now if knight takes e4, bishop to d4 hits the queen and the knight.
Bishop e4 is sneaky, threatening queen takes b3 check.
Yes, you would have to trade bishops and then play bishop to d4. Okay. He likes your move, Paul.
This is a strong player, Emily. How do you pronounce your last name? Sorry.
Nguyen.
Nguyen.
Yeah. I think she's a freshman at Stanford.
And is this the who's Arya?
That's Arya Hosley. She's playing for the all-female team. We got the beat. And Alexi's seeing Emily's from Texas, but currently attending Stanford.
Somehow Black should be fine here. I mean, I want to believe that Black should be fine. For example, bishop e4, knight e4, bishop d4. Black could actually play queen takes d4, right?
Very good. That makes it very easy.
And we'll keep an eye on this game, and let's go back to the top board. And Emily played the U.S. Women's Championship also, as Alexi is reminding us. So she's used to strong competition. Here we are back on board one with Kyron Griffith and John Donaldson.
Well, I think John's he's in some trouble here.
Is that because of the weak pawn structure?
Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely saved his bishop, which is a good thing.
Yes. Not easy.
He's just going to hold tight here and see what Kyron can do.
John is an excellent defender. If Kyron can squeeze this out, that'll be extremely impressive. But
yeah,
I agree. I think John's going to be able to hold.
So let's check out board two in this match. Mark Pinto and Jim Tarjan.
Look at this pawn structure.
Just going to link everything together.
They're playing checkers.
I think Mark was telling me this morning that Tarjan's a game up on him head-to-head.
I'm not fond of Mark's F4 move. So, although it might have a point in a way.
So I hadn't known they had played before, Abel. Did Mark say how many times?
He didn't say how many. I sort of got the impression it was one game that Jim won. And he was joking that, like, oh, maybe I'll get my revenge. And then here they are.
It's a really classic pairing. I mean, for mechanics.
Oh, man, I saw the pairing. I'm like, oh, my gosh. It's kind of exciting.
So, I mean, maybe Black has a little more potential now in a way than White.
I agree that F4 move is a bit rigid.
Castles. Every move is like making me laugh for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Let's check on the other trustee, Patrick Wolf, against Andy Lee.
Now that's a pair. That's a tough one. Patrick hasn't quite solved this yet. Oh, Elliot. Hello, Elliot.
Is that how he enters the Twitch chat?
But gah, what is gah, Elliot? Gah. Yeah, Elliot, what do you think of this position, Elliot?
Need a theoretician.
While Elliot is streaming from phone to TV, says Elliot.
Phone to TV.
If Patrick has chance for advantage, I think he just has to play bishop to c4. Oh, he disagrees. Now bishop takes f3, pawn takes f3, knight takes d4. Or queen takes d4.
It looks like black is good. Maybe knight takes d4. Knowing Andy Lee, he's gonna he's gonna want to play the most aggressive move.
Oh, good. He's going to keep us entertained, you're saying.
Oh, definitely. It's funny to see him with an 1852 rating. He must have just started playing on this platform.
He's won a few Tuesday night marathons, hasn't he, Paul?
Andy Lee?
Yes.
Yeah, he used to play a lot before he had a kid.
And let's check in on a team matchup going on. And this is board one of it. This is between UC Berkeley and their A team, led by International Master Kesav, playing Mission San Jose High School, led by National Master Kevin Pan, playing white.
Well, somehow this will resolve itself in a move or two. Queen D2.
Kesav was offered a draw, which he declined.
Oh, so black is trying to win this.
Yes.
Wow, that's it seems to me the black bishop is better than the white bishop now.
You mean the white bishop better than the black?
Sorry, yes, the dark squared bishop is better than the light squared bishop of black.
That's the problem with describing the bishops. Like it's a black bishop, but a black squared bishop, or
But that bishop, it goes, hits all the way down to G2.
And I think Kesav is probably not taking the draw now, because he's trying to see how the rest of the team matches play out. But so this is board two in the same matchup. This is FIDE Master Teemu Virtanen for UC Berkeley against Stephen He. But Mission San Jose is at a matchup disadvantage on boards 2 and 3. But
this is a big rating difference.
Yeah. And Teemu Virtanen, former national champion of Finland.
That's pretty amazing to get in this event. Former national champion of Finland.
Yeah, he pulled an upset. He was still, I believe he was still in high school when he went over there, and there was a couple of IMs in the field and FM, and I don't think he was even titled at the time, and he won it in a blitz playoff, and we were following it live on Chess 24.
Well, he's got a Finnish name, so he must be Finnish by.
Oh yeah, for sure, and his federation's Finland too. Obviously it had to be.
Well, this game is still in balance somehow.
And, white. There's the isolated pawn, and white's got a little grip.
And this is board 3 in the same matchup between UC Berkeley and Mission San Jose. Ashrita Swaran playing black against Nicholas Jiang.
This structure, I thought for a second this was the Patrick Wolf game.
And
well, is black just winning here? Can he take on D4? Is he going to get knight D6 check, Gummum?
Yeah.
If rook D4, knight D6 check?
Yes, then you'd have to sacrifice the exchange. You'd get 2 pawns for it, have better pawn structure. So you'd but what she really wants to do is win that D pawn for nothing.
Yeah. Or
Maybe
the
she
pawn for nothing.
You're talking about the Patrick Wolf game. Let's do a check-in on that. Grandmaster Patrick Wolf playing white here against FIDE Master Andy Lee.
Andy Lee took with the queen on D4. That's going to be, that maybe was not the right idea. And it sort of played against his own strength, which is middle game tactics. I've seen. Huh.
Yes, the Patrick's got quite a lot of development, even though it's an end game. All those white pieces are coming out.
Yeah.
Don't know if you'd castle long on the black side.
And Tejas is in the chat saying Rook D8. But Knight E6 is.
And Knight B5. Oh, now black is really going to get gummed up after bishop B5 check.
Yeah, bishop B5.
I mean, I can see black's point in doing this, though. Take aim at these weak white pawns, get a winning end game. But what is that about the middle game and the end game and the gods and all that stuff?
It's true. Don't think you call this an end game. I think you call this one a middle game, Paul.
Let's jump back to the top board and see the developments. Kyron Griffith and John Donaldson.
This is looking like almost no advantage for white now. Oh, wait a minute, the G pawn.
I guess John had to do that to save his bishop.
Ah, so now Kyron is going up a pawn. Huh.
Up a pawn, but then John goes pawn to C5.
Yeah, that's a good...
pawn to C4.
Uh-huh.
And it gets a bit complicated.
Indeed. Not clear at all. There goes the blockade, and there could be some serious counterplay. But then bishop C4.
Well, then we can get our pawn back on.
Oh, that's
C2.
right. Yeah, you just take on C2.
And if anyone's watching and wants to follow the pairings, the standings, the results, just click that link that's in the chat. It'll take you to the events page. And Emily Nguyen from Stanford did win her game. This was the final position.
Oh, wow.
And a point for the Stanford Cardinals. Going back to that top matchup between the Mechanics Institute and the Factory, Board 2, Mark Pinto and the Factory and Jim Tarjan.
Tarjan's trying to make action on the queen side. I love how he's doubled the black rooks there. The king side's all locked up. The center's locked up. Actually, if black played to A4, then the whole board would be locked up.
Yeah, I think that they could just sort of look at each other and go, well.
And yes, Alexi, the ratings on that linked page are the correct USCF ratings. It is the highest of either their January supplemental over the board rating or their online rating.
So can black triple on the A file? Is that possible? If he does, white's going to have to take some action with A4 or something like that.
Yeah. Rook to A6, white goes pawn to A4, and everything's open.
Yeah, everything's suddenly hanging all over the place. This could be trouble for white here.
Let's check board 3 in this match. This was Jonah Bush. And I believe Joshua Graves. Joshua Lawson.
Pawns are still even for the moment. That F6 pawn is pretty loose.
White could try rook A7. No, rook D3 check. Yeah, no good.
Well, white is
has two
buffering.
Hanging here at G2 and at F6. So it looks like white's going to lose a pawn somehow. And the pawn at A2. This is kind of, yeah.
And this is
a little bit difficult for white at the moment, but things can change. Oh, what a blunder.
Oh,
yeah.
And you just said it, Paul.
Oh.
Paul, I think people should listen to you more.
Tough one.
Those yeah, the white plays a desperado sacrifice, but black's is, or I guess you could call that a desperado sacrifice. Oh, unfortunate for Jonah.
Yeah. Tough one. Tough couple of rounds. And here we are, UC Berkeley B team, board 1, Ryan Tagazadi, FIDE Master against WGM Jennifer Yu.
I like the way black's playing this. I mean, opening it up.
Almost looks like Go, the way the pawns are.
And that king in the center, though, still, I mean,
yes, if Ryan or if Jennifer opens it up or that king gets castled.
Yeah, it looks like, what about like D takes C4?
Knight would take it.
And then knight D5, trying to go into C3 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you get a knight to E3, at least white's keeping everything solid.
It looks like black should play quickly here to try to bust it open. Open up some lines while the king is still in the middle.
Look at the board 4 in this match. This is Nathan Fong is black for UC Berkeley. And he's playing Harrison Barclay.
Well, black's up a pawn, but white's... But white's got bishop c7. Does that work? Rook f6, rook a1. That might be a good move.
And let's do a quick check on Patrick Wolf. He did end up playing bishop b5 check, and then king f8, then rook d7.
And gave up the pawn on e5
Right.
to keep the thing going.
That was a pretty good cramping pawn.
Yeah, that's funny that he gave that up.
But all those white pieces are coming out. Does he take on b7 or double on the D line?
Black's move, though.
Yes, actually, if you take that pawn on b7, the a7 pawn is also in trouble.
Yeah, Patrick playing for position today.
Where should Black move?
I think I would go pawn to a6.
And that's what Alexi says. a6.
Okay, Alexi.
And then maybe bishop c4, maybe.
And Alexi says b5. It looks good. Even if the bishop takes the knight on e6, then the black king becomes safe. You're getting development. Still a pawn up.
So Andy Lee is such an entertaining player. He really is one of the loves to attack. So this is a little bit unusual for him.
All right, let's go back to top board. On the top table, John Donaldson has offered a draw to Kyron Griffith. And Jonah did lose on board 3.
That's a good draw offer.
Now it's good.
Well, look at the white rook is kind of paralyzed at g5, and this is not. I think white has nothing here now.
Now, from the team aspect of this, Jonah lost on board 3. So Kyron's got to keep an eye out for what's happening in the game between Mark Pinto.
Does he get to know what's happening?
Well, yes. So just as I do, and anyone that plays on chess.com, you can pull up game tabs on the side of your computer. The players playing are allowed to have their team members' games tabs up. So they can hover over it, see the clock, and they can even see the position. They just cannot click on the game to bring it up. So they can be made aware of the results, and they can be made aware of the position of the other games. So Kyron Griffith is no doubt looking at the position of Chelsea's game on board 4 and Jim Tarjan's game on board 2, and trying to assess whether, if he takes a draw, do those two games have a reasonable chance of winning?
Right.
Because,
so what about... Oh, go ahead.
Because if John offers him a draw and Kyron's got 29 minutes left, it might make sense for Kyron to just take another 10 minutes to just wait to see what happens in the other two games before making any kind of a decision. Would that be right, Nick?
Yes. You'd be a very good team captain, Abel.
Yeah, that's a terrific thought. Is that how the Bermuda team gets through every round?
Well, we kind of see when happy hour is, and that's.
And Grandmaster Nick DeFermian is the captain of the Bermuda Olympiad team, which is why we're.
How about Bishop E2 here for whites? Going straight for that pawn.
And you probably have to go rook to D5.
Yeah, and then exchanging and playing F4 is dubious, probably because of D4 check or something. This is actually same colored bishops.
So let's take a look at this match's board 4 with Chelsea Zhu for Mechanics Institute playing black.
Oh, look at those white squares. It's White's really put the stopper in this one.
Black is probably thinking about sacrificing the exchange or something. Now definitely thinking about sacrificing the exchange. Rook A1, is that a good move or a careless move?
That was a quick move, especially with 30 minutes on your clock.
Yeah, and right away comes Rook B5. Not surprising.
Yeah, the best practical chance for sure.
Right.
Wow, and now Black's got dots.
Yeah, I think White went off the rails there with that Rook A1, too quick. It was clear Black was going to play Rook takes B5, and this was just like a dare. Rook A1 didn't make sense to play it so quickly.
Now that Bishop can get pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, Black might have Bishop takes H4 in a move or two. Like King C1, Bishop H. Well, maybe. Yeah, Bishop H4.
Yeah.
That would probably win. See, now White's taking time. This is a good example of why you should take your time in critical positions and not in positions where you suddenly find yourself in a difficult position.
I mean, it may be that White can figure out a way to keep the advantage, but wow, this is
King B1, Bishop H4.
Yeah, maybe Queen C2.
Yeah, then Queen C2.
But then you can go Queen F1 check.
And take the pawn on F3. This is not nothing great for White, I don't think. But I guess he can go Queen D1 after Queen F1 check.
Yes, but still, you needed to think this through before you got here.
Right, that's the point I'm trying to make, I suppose.
Because the position was horrible for Black before the exchange sacrifice. Yeah. No matter what, this is at least as good as you had.
And just to give a quick shout out, we're going to go to this game. This is actually in the under 1800 section of this tournament. This is Lauren Goodkind playing White, playing National Master Joshua Grabinski, who's playing Black. And even though Joshua Grabinski is a National Master, and I think around 2300, he's playing the under 1800 section because his team average is under 1800, because I think he's playing with his high school teammates, who the three of them are much lower rated, but they wanted to play together as a team. So tough match for Lauren, but Lauren's a tough player. How's she doing against Joshua?
I like her position.
Yeah, me too.
Nice solid pawn structure. The White king looks a little safer.
Black has some chances with, rolling up the king side pawn, the center pawn, but F5 and E5. These positions are difficult for sure.
And then Barbara Goodkind is Eat Dinner.
Eat Dinner.
And she's doing all right in her game too.
This is the dreaded bishops of opposite colors. Black is up a pawn.
Yeah, at least she's up a pawn.
Yeah. I mean, Black has the chances here, of
all
course.
Right. Back to the top. Yeah, the Goodkinds are on the same team. It's an all-female team in the
Can you believe that? They're all on the same team.
As they were last year. And Ashrita Iswaran won her game. Let me go to this game real quick, just because I hovered over it. This was Patrick Wolf and Grandmaster Patrick Wolf and FIDE Master Andy Lee.
Oh, strange defense.
Black is hanging on by the skin of his teeth now, it looks like almost. Don't get too fancy, Andy.
I mean, Black is guarding everything, but it's just hanging together. So one.
Yeah, you almost expect some blow from White here. This is it's tough. Although knight f6 is going to be met by bishop h6 check. It's still not clear what's going on here.
And say White doubles the rooks. Going for activity.
Yeah, and if bishop takes c3, rook takes c7 or something like that. Yeah.
And on this matchup between UC Berkeley Team B and Mission San Jose, Kevin Pan held Kesov to a draw, but Ashrita Eswaran won on board 3, so they have a point. The other games out, this is one of them, Teemu Virtanen against Stephen He. And White to move, thinking about how to recapture. I think UC Berkeley B feels confident in this game and in their board 4. And so I think Kesov said, sure, take the draw, but I mean, the position looked draw. Anyway.
Well, this is certainly better for White.
Going back to that...
I guess. I mean, Black is going to make a pass pawn, maybe? I don't know.
This was the board 4 game on the top table. Chelsea, who's playing Black. And
King D1 was played.
King D1. You weren't even thinking that. You were thinking more maybe B1 or...
So bishop h4 doesn't quite work, does it? Because you get mated on the back rank. Queen h4, queen f1, queen, and then...
Maybe we should start with queen b3 check and ask that White king, where are you going?
Uh-huh.
Or queen b3 check and then c4?
Perhaps.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Queen b3 check, probably king to e1.
Oh, sorry, Tejas. Yeah, Tejas mentioned king d1.
Yeah, king d1. Nice call, Tejas, I guess, unless it loses by force. And then, what were you thinking? Black has to get a little bit more going here with the bishop.
So Chelsea sacked the exchange to get to this point, which has given her opportunities and chances, which is great because they need it now.
John, let's go back to that John Donaldson game.
Here we go. Kyron Griffith and John Donaldson on board 1 on the top table.
And the draw offer was refused, apparently.
It was declined.
And now John is faced with the loss of his c-pawn. He also has to, So what happens if we get like defensive here with rook c6 or offensive with rook b6? No, guess not. This is a tough little game.
And time's about even. Let's go back and check the board 2 matchup with Mark Pinto, FIDE Master against Grandmaster.
I think John's holding this. Rook b8. He's got a lot of good moves there.
And Kyron's trying to decide if he needs to push it even more. And I think it's really depending on the board 4 match with Chelsea, because I think he's counting on Jim Tarjan to figure this out.
And I think Jim is starting to figure it out.
Oh, what did Mark do? He lost his bishop for the knight. Clever of Tarjan.
Yeah, Tarjan came around with the knight to d7, I guess, and traded. First, he played bishop f8. Then he went back around to d7 and exchanged the bishop.
It's long-term strategy.
And look at that f4. F4 would be like great right here.
Well,
if it was black's move,
and the e3 pawn, and then, like you said, king f2, f4 looks devastating, I think. And then there's the problem with opening up the A file still.
Oh, Mark, it doesn't look like you're going to even your score this game.
Yeah. This just kind of is falling apart for white here. And this sad stuff on the queen side. Now A takes b4. I guess.
You have to take with the queen.
Yeah, and then rook a4. That's got to be winning for black. Queen c3. Maybe white can hold on with queen c3. Rook a4, queen c3. Oh, then b4. Then you take on c6. So, why is chess not easy?
Yes, it feels all wrong for white, though. Yes.
Maybe black can play slowly with queen b6 after queen c3.
And
just play f4.
Just to see the developments on board 4 here. Here's where we're at.
Oh, he played your c4 onto a3.
She's just pushing those pawns.
Kind of like that. Just push right away.
Yeah, that's a nice move for sure.
Because that pawn's going to sit there in a3 anyway.
And the white rooks are very awkward here.
She converts this. This is like a huge.
She's a rapidly improving player. I mean, yeah. I've been watching her in the TNMs and stuff, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure she's jumped several hundred rating points in strength lately.
That's the thing about the TNM. I mean, she's getting exposed to strong players and getting the opportunity to play them. I think she even's gotten to play either Gadir or Lenderman one time.
Yeah. No, I know that. Yeah, that's the kind of experience that. And what do you think, Nick?
There's not lots of nice tactics may come up. For instance, if white does queen to a2, looks like you're kind of defending things. But I think black plays pawn to c2, even offering the queen trade, and wins the game.
Wow.
Because you have a rook b1 coming in, and the f3 pawn is hanging, so... yeah, she's really come back. Oh, queen a2 happened.
So now c2?
C2, I think, just takes it down.
What happens after queen takes b3, rook b3? There's no defense there, huh?
No defense to rook to b1.
Because the rook can't even go to c5.
Yeah.
And it can't go to d1.
And it can't make a mating threat, even. except for the worthless one at A5.
I'm sure she's calculating that. And Tejas
wow,
in the chat.
She finds your move, Nick. Hats off.
I mean, the whole purpose of pushing that pawn was that. So I'm sure she's looking at it. She's just calculating,
right,
whether it takes her to the promised land. And kudos to her time management. Even being under 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're supposed to take your time.
And Tejas is confident she'll play it.
Okay, well, Tejas found it, so.
And while we wait to see if she does indeed play it, back to board one of this same match, Kyron Griffith and John Donaldson.
Rook B8's a nice move, I think. It's hard to believe White is going to have a winning position out of this. It's too much wood is coming off the board.
Yeah, you don't beat John Donaldson easily.
No.
Tough, experienced player. Doesn't lose many games at all, even to the best people. But I'm glad Kyron declined the draw and kept fighting.
And Kyron, I'm sure, is keeping an eye out on the other two games. And going back to this.
She found it.
It was played.
It's a devastatingly strong move.
It just, there's not even a try. I can't think of anything White can do.
This, we've had already quite a few games in the first couple of rounds that are worthy of an email saying, hey, Nick, here's the PGN for the newsletters.
Oh, so, yeah.
She's won both. She'll have won both of her games, right?
Yes.
She's a strong board four. There's no doubt about that.
And actually, in the other match too, was a match where, they needed the win, and she declined the draw and pushed it and got there.
Yeah. This is a very fine player. Shaping up that way.
Let's check on Mark Pinto and Jim Tarjan on this same match.
I actually see a way. Oh, no, there's no way to survive that, huh? This is kind of going from bad to worse. That's another pawn, right? Oh, no.
Only one pawn, but that's... Oh, and Tarjan just so slowly, he doesn't grab the pawn. He just consolidates first.
It's going to grind you.
So what's the point of E6?
Just wanted to
I guess now he can play C5. Black can play C5 after this.
Bishop can come
Maybe
to
King
F8.
D1 did work, but not the way that it turned out. Maybe White should have played King G2 or something. Queen A2 was the blunder.
And Mike thinks John is better in his game. Let's jump to that.
That could be. I was wondering if it was going to sort of swing his way. How can you say that? Each player has two pawns.
I guess better doesn't mean winning.
Oh, bishop f5 and rook e6 check. Because you have bishop takes f5 and rook e6?
And then maybe king d4, rook takes c2, rook c7 check, in the f pawn. I think this game is destined to be a draw.
Right.
And board 4, Chelsea's opponent still thinking.
John is very methodical in his thinking here. So bishop f5 is definitely on the radar here.
I think he'll probably do that. That's safest move.
Yeah, you don't want your bishop trapped over there at h7 too long. Although it's hardly going to be one, I think.
Checking on board 2 with Mark Pinto.
Well, Mark, at least you had a nice checkmate last game. Queen sacrifice and checkmate.
And let me jump just because I'm looking at this. This was Grandmaster Patrick Wolf and FIDE Master Andy Lee.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about this game. So what, is Black in danger of losing the entire queen side, maybe?
Yes, that's...
Before he's able to get his pieces out on the king side? Patrick has played a good game here, I think. So king g7, rook b7, or does Black have time to play b5?
Probably he should. Just slow it down there a bit. 5, rook to d7, king to g7, and you're holding your pawns at least.
And if rook a7, you can what? Trade? Well, yeah, trading is going to be a problem though. You lose the a pawn. If you don't trade, white doubles rooks on the 7th, takes e7. Huh. What am I missing? Probably a lot. b5, rook d7, king
Wow.
g7, rook
Yeah,
a7.
rook a7 is a good move.
Hey, let me do a quick check-in on this game here between Ryan Tagazadi and Jennifer Yu. Jennifer Yu just played Queen h4.
Yeah. So
He is a great attacking player.
knight g4. White. So white's going to play knight g4, right?
Knight g4, bishop takes g4, I guess, and you want to castle. Pawn to e3 comes in.
And the chat is noticing the king is still in the middle of the board over there for white.
Yeah, that's been an issue for white.
Let me jump to Kyron's game really quick here. And am I seeing this right? John is up a pawn?
Yeah. But we think he's going to lose it back.
Is he am I seeing this wrong? Is he going to get the bishop over there?
Yeah, but then white's going to play rook c7 check, right? I guess white has to be careful that he doesn't fall into some kind of mate.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, king f3, one of the rooks takes on e2. Maybe it's a little scary for white. He's going to be the tempo down, and black is going to have it's going to be black's move, and black might be able to cause some misery for white.
Look at this game. Board 2 on this match. A lot going on.
If Mark can somehow pick up that A pawn and trade queens,
yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, he might have a chance.
Well, if he goes rook A7, queen to B8, check, king F7,
queen D8,
queen D8, threatening queen F6 check.
Bishop G7, I don't know.
All right, you've made the bishop passive at least. That's good. Still hard to do anything though.
And just look at this. I'm kind of a little bit in awe because I'm going to switch over to Patrick Wolf's game, who's playing white. He's still sharp. I mean,
Nick and I called this one, except for black's played H5, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's not as good as king G7.
Doesn't look like it.
You're not getting your pieces out.
I don't understand H5. I just don't. I mean, it looked like king G7 was forced. There might have been a reason that it was played.
Well, in order to get knight F6 in, but
right, and then yeah.
And just going back to top board, top match here.
Okay.
So there's a fleeting initiative for black here. Can he make something of it? White's going to have his choice of pawns.
Yeah, this looks like a draw.
It certainly does.
King D3 was a precise move to not get in trouble.
Yeah, I think so. The white pieces are not stepping on each other like they might have.
Now you can take on F7 and feel secure. Suppose you could take on A7 just as well.
Yeah. If you're still playing for the win. Though black has a forced draw with rook E3 check and rook E4 check. Here it comes.
Yes.
Of course.
And in the other game we were following, the queens came off the board here. This is the position.
Good game, this Conran game. White's still in this? No. White's used 10 minutes here.
No, the end is...
The end is nigh.
Yeah, so this is the crucial game, it seems, for this match right here.
Now, if this game is a draw, is the match a draw?
If this game is a draw, the match would be a draw. Provided that Chelsea wins.
It's a funny position where black finds it difficult to infiltrate. Like,
well, let's play your queen d8 and then bishop g7 stops the check on f6, and say white passes somehow. You want to move the knight or the rook,
or play the queen back to b6 even. Oh, then black might play bishop f8, e7.
Say we did king to f3 in that position.
And Chelsea did win her match. She got the point.
Wow, nicely done.
Fantastic game. And I have a feeling that Kyron and John are sort of waiting on what happens here.
Jim has a way of making things a little difficult for himself.
As soon as he gets a winning position, then he starts to, relax a bit too much.
It's great though. We get to be armchair kibitzers.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not worried about making a blunder.
It's a lot more difficult to actually be in there. Fighting it out. Yeah.
This no longer looks like a walk in the park for black. It's funny.
And hang in there, Jonah. Team effort all the way around, and you never know when the round will come where someone else is struggling and you pick them up. That's the nature of these types of events. Is Bishop G7 forced here? Yeah.
To see another move. And Mark Pinto has more time.
Gonzaga, I don't think giving up your queen for the rook is a great idea with queen c1. So what about bishop f8 now? Oh, but the white queen could come around to h8 too. So that's not such a great idea to play bishop e7. Maybe bishop e8 followed by bishop f8 and bishop e7. Trying to play f4. Yeah, what about that, Nick?
Yeah, I like putting that black bishop on e7.
And then playing f4. But you have to prevent the white queen scurrying around to...
So Jonah's in the chat. So he's saying queen c1, rook takes, then you promote, and then you're attacking the rook.
But he takes it. He takes the new queen with his rook at c1.
But then you recapture it with your rook, no?
And then you've given up your queen for then white's up a queen for a rook.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just testing you out, Paul.
Well, I mean, I get confused. I do. Nick, what about bishop e8, bishop f8, bishop e7, and then f4?
That could well be a winning plan. Although we could maybe go g takes f4. You take that h pawn check. King can be on f3 or something. I'm not so afraid of your h pawn.
I see.
There.
You know, that queen c1 idea, sometimes that's a good move if it's mate or something, you know, to clear the pawn advance.
I think he has to go kind of slowly. Bishop to f8 to e7, rook back to a8, queen b7, king e8, bring the other bishop to d8.
Oh, I see.
And then the slow push backwards.
Step ladder.
Yeah.
Step laddering all your pieces.
But he's getting low on time.
Bishop f8 is played. And Mark quickly
queen to d8.
So bishop e7, queen h8.
Queen h8, yeah.
But then bishop, well, you can't go bishop f8 because of queen f6.
Yeah.
So that would be a mistake. But black has to go back to bishop g7 here.
Looks like he does. This is well done by Mark to play that move so quickly. Very practical.
Black has to play back to g7. You can't quite trap it again. Then you got to do the reshuffle. Do the reshuffle.
Let's check in on Patrick's game. Grandmaster Patrick Wolf playing white here against FIDE Master Andy Lee.
Oh, well, he finally got the rook out. White does have this marvelous passed A pawn.
Right. Patrick's trying to extract everything he can here, huh?
And if you're watching, in the link in the Twitch chat is all the information you need, the standings, the pairings, all the information of this second round of the U.S. Amateur Team West Championship. The third round will be tonight, 4 p.m. Pacific time. 4 p.m. will be round 3.
What is happening in this game? Is Andy Lee gotten the advantage? He goes pawn to e6.
And then rook takes f3.
That would be very good for black. So pawn to e6, maybe pawn to f4.
So is that Patrick's plan? Patrick, it looked to me like, maybe rook b5 didn't work because black could take it and exchange and go scurry back with the king.
Well, he could take on...
Not yet. He couldn't do it yet,
So maybe something like e6, pawn to f4, pawn to g5. Pawn takes pawn, rook takes f2. But this game has gotten really sharp.
Maybe, yeah.
And it looks like Stanford won their match. There's 3 wins already against the Beat. So congrats to Stanford.
What is black going to do here? G5?
G5. But maybe you just ignore it.
And play rook b5 or something?
b5, pawn take, and then pawn to a5.
Knight c7, I guess, would be forced.
After
But that wouldn't be good, I guess.
let's see, rook to b5, pawn takes f4, a5, rook to g5, a6. G1 check, king to B2. Is there any way to stop that A pawn? Rook B5, white's still better.
Kyron is saying that black can take and go rook H5 and rook H8. Maybe.
Okay, let's try that. Rook B5, pawn takes F4, A5, rook H5. We could do bishop F4 in that position, but if we go A6, rook H8.
You could go bishop C3 check first, maybe. If knight C3, rook takes H5.
And we have a result. Kyron Griffith, who's in the chat, he drew with John Donaldson, but also Jim Tarjan drew with Mark Pinto.
Wow.
Right.
What a great result
Congratulations.
for Mark.
And so that match ended in a draw.
Wow.
So fantastic play by Mark Pinto.
Yeah.
And
pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
And fun to watch the Kyron John Donaldson match.
All right.
And let's go over to this match. This is a match between UC.
I want to see the match made in heaven.
The match made in heaven. We're all looking for that. This is the UC Berkeley B team with their board 2 was a draw, and the board 4 was a win by Nathan Fong for Cal. So Cal's up 1.5 to a half. This is board 1. Ryan Tagazadi is white against Jennifer Yu, who is black.
White's put up great resistance in this game and the threat is what? Rook D7, rook takes D7, rook D7. Trying to find a mate there. Rook D2, queen takes B2, rook B2, rook D1 mate.
So if you go knight to E3.
Yeah, knight to E3.
Threatens to castle, then rook D7, rook D2. Black could play rook takes D2, forcing queen takes D2. And queen A1 check, knight to D1. Yes, you're hanging on and getting ready to castle. So we can't. After
knight E3, bishop E6, castles, bishop takes B3. With that pin, that rook still pinned, maybe black can pick up both queenside pawns. I don't know.
Yes, and that'll probably be a draw.
Yeah.
Going back to Patrick Wolf's game here. I think it played out the way you were thinking.
Wow, this is really crunch time here. So rook H5.
You want to throw in bishop C3 check?
And then F6, according to Kyron.
On to A6, rook to H8.
And rook B7, and then A7. Yeah.
But then rook A8, you
then rook
A8. The pawn.
Yeah.
And when you've stopped the pawn, you have the advantage on the king side.
So rook H5, what about bishop takes F4?
You could. But let's try this line again, though. Rook H5, bishop C3 check, pawn to F6, A6, rook H8, A7, rook to A8, bishop to D4 that guards that A pawn.
And threatens rook B8.
Yeah, it ties black up.
This is a nice game. I mean, would white be able to resist the temptation after rook H5 of playing bishop F4?
I think so.
Well, black can play E5 according to Chiron after bishop D4.
Okay, and bishop C5.
And then rook C8.
You still move the king somewhere like D2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not over, but it's, black is suffering.
Does that mean that white is happy when black is suffering?
That's it, Paul. I think you've got it down now.
Just trying to get the,
And look at this game. This is in this same match. This is Patrick Wolf's team. Tonight we're gonna checkmate like it's 1989. Check this out. This is white is Taylor Curtis for 4 isolated pawns, and black is Andrew Metrick for Patrick's team.
White is really trying to queen that pawn. Well, black is in some trouble if he can't stop this pawn. Bishop G5, maybe?
Let's see. What if you traded bishops, then did like pawn to G5?
And pawn to B6. Oh, I see. The rook.
Rook back to B3, pawn to B7, pawn to G4. So you're also trying to run.
And you let him queen? Oh, I see. Yeah, no. The rook's in C7. White also has bishop.
White can go bishop E8, try to win that F pawn, but that's not the most critical one.
Tough little game here.
Look at what happened here in the game between Ryan Tagazadi and Jennifer Yu. This is the sequence.
Wow.
What happened? Getting out of the rook D7. Nice.
Oh.
And this is the position now.
Wow.
Ryan blundered.
Yeah.
It's over.
And in this match, the overall match,
Queen takes B3. It's just a technical win.
Oh yeah, UC Berkeley is going to win the match regardless because they'll have 2.5 already. So, fine play by Jennifer, and let's go back to Andy Lee and Patrick Wolf.
Yeah,
I gotta say, what a great player Jennifer is.
Yeah, she is. So this is following our recipe here. It's as though we know what we're talking about.
You see the future, yeah. Who knew?
Chess is a little bit of fortune telling, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. Well, you have a sense of what should happen, right? I mean,
White needs to win a piece here in order to win this game. I mean, he's down a pawn. This A pawn has got to cost black something.
Yes. And if it only costs a knight, black will be happy. But
yeah.
On to A7 here.
Can black... Yeah. What if black plays super passive and puts the knight in the corner and allows rook B8? That's probably just lost.
Because of bishop takes F6 check.
Yeah. Bishop D4, right?
Yes, bishop D4. And then I guess you start moving the black king up. Rook to B8, knight C7. King to F5, bishop to B6, attacking the knight. But you'll give up the knight for the A pawn. And then Andy Lee's down to 2 minutes. So.
Yeah, under 2 minutes.
And also, White could think about maybe switching, strengthening his position, and then winning the H pawn or something with the rook. I don't know. Maybe that's not in the cards here. So you're saying E5, bishop C5?
Well, E5. Oh yeah, E5, bishop C5. Oh, maybe then E4, then bishop back to E4. I would bring the black king up instead.
Yeah. That is exactly what he did.
And for Patrick Wolf's team, board 4 for his team is going to win.
So Nick, what happens here? Rook B8, knight C7. What happens if you bring your king up to B7? Does White have time to bring the king to B7?
He might, and then you'll win a whole rook for the pawn.
Right.
But let's see if the black king can do anything on the king side meanwhile. That's a long journey for the white king.
I'll bet you there's also some kind of finessing with White trading in the corner and putting a bishop on D8 and then winning, or on A5, right? And then winning, zugzwanging black into winning pawns on the king side. Looks like White might have several ways to try to play for a win here.
Yes, certainly. But it's not sure that black is lost.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He's
just as tough. Gosh.
Just to get it clear, Paul, black is suffering and white is happy.
Okay. There you go.
And looking on the another game in this that we were looking at earlier, this is the position. It looks like black sort of got himself out of trouble, it appears.
Knight takes E4, rook B6.
They're both out of trouble, yeah.
Yeah, look at that, rook B6. Black shouldn't have any trouble with that. He's playing even more aggressively with this move.
He wants to win both pawns.
But he might end up losing his knight.
Oh, the knight can always jump back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or deliver a check.
B6. Black is winning, maybe.
And these are good developments because Patrick's board 4 has won. So if these two results stand, then Patrick would only need a draw to win the match.
How did their board 4 do?
This was the final position here.
They lost.
Patrick's?
Yeah.
No, it was a draw. Patrick's board 4 was a draw. His board 3 won.
Oh, that's this game, yeah.
Oh, actually, if both of this is one. If they win either board, they win the match.
Right.
So between mechanics and the factory, is that
that was a draw?
That's a tie match.
Yes.
Okay. Very civilized.
Well, knight f6 is very strong here, right? I mean, bishop g6, king h6. All right, here we go. If I was Andy Lee, I'd be sweating right now.
And time is a factor here.
Bishop e6 is all well and good, but if white then goes ahead and plays bishop c7, rook a7. So white needs to do that at the right moment, maybe.
So e5, bishop e6, pawn to e4.
There you
go. Try to get counterplay.
Can white just sit with the king on f2 and then... Oh, he's allowing pawn to e3.
Maybe he should go pawn to h3.
I think black is on the verge of losing this, it looks like. What happens if white... It's the same colored pawn, rook pawn.
Same colored rook pawn. That could be important.
Could be.
He probably has to go pawn to e3 now.
But then white's going to play bishop c7, allow him to take it, and then he's going to play rook b5 check and take that take the f pawn. Right, and then it's going to and that bishop will actually defend the pawn at h2. Oh, no, wait a minute. The rook is attacking the bishop. Huh.
Okay, but all that has to happen is the white king come up to d3. So king e6, king to d3, and then it looks like. Oh, he wants to
King g5 is clever. It's the only move. If he'd gone to g6, then bishop c7 would have won, I think.
But yes, it looks like king to d3, king f5, bishop takes c7, rook takes a7, rook b5 check, and you get that f pawn.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Hey, check out what happened in this game here. This was Ryan Tagazadi and Jennifer Yu. This game is drawn.
What?
Wow.
Oh my God.
I think he got a little fortress here.
And black was running out of time.
Yeah. And the match the match was lost anyway, but yeah, look at that.
That's very impressive.
Nice
I
play
guess
by Ryan.
Black didn't have queen takes e3. Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Back to Patrick Wolf and Andy Lee.
I think Patrick Wolf has got it now. And isn't it, I mean, it's just so delicious that the bishop at f4 defends the pawn at h2. It just makes it really, really discouraging for Black.
Because he can't even do anything with its most advanced pawn over there. And then
if he could pick up the h pawn, then there'd be something.
What do you think of the play here by Patrick? It's just
really good, I think, or at least consistent. It looked really good, didn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I think Andy made that one mistake, pawn to h5, and it cost him the ending. And Patrick just pressed it perfectly.
This is now. There's no hope here.
And Patrick doesn't, and Nick knows this. He doesn't just sit around. I mean, he's looking at the Tata Steel and analyzing games, and he takes joy out of it. And right, he's not just hanging around, not thinking about chess.
Well, he played pretty well in the senior championship too.
Yeah. Andy Lee. This was an interesting game. It definitely had its moments here. White intends king f4, king g4. I don't see what Black can do here. Just
even Chiron couldn't save this game.
And he can save a lot, but definitely not this.
You try to look for stalemates, but I don't see any possibility.
Aaron says this is winning for Black.
Hey, Kyron, who's always saying Kyron will pull it out? What'd you say, Paul? He's losing? No, he's going to win this. Obviously, he got €250 for it.
Well, you have to like it. I mean, Andy Lee keeps fighting.
I know f4 is an ugly move, but there's not even the rook pawn of the wrong color here. So
So let me see what other.
It's not fair when you don't have any hope for a cheapo.
Oh, that's right. You played my ugly move.
Most of the games of the round are done. And Patrick Wolf gets it done against a very tough Andy Lee.
Yeah.
Fantastic
I didn't
play.
know Andy Lee was playing. It's great to see him in this tournament.
Yeah, he came out, which was really nice when we saw that registration.
And who's he playing for again?
4 isolated pawns. I think it's a group of friends.
Who else is on that team?
Taylor Curtis, Damon Ayoama.
Okay.
Damon Mosk Ayoama and David Taylor.
No.
Yeah.
Like you said, friends.
Yeah, just a group of friends wanting to hang out. And what better place to hang out than the 2021 U.S. Amateur Team West?
I'm certainly having a good time.
Look at this game. So this is from the same match.
Oh my!
Christopher Chabris playing for. Tonight we're gonna checkmate like it's 1989.
White's put up a lot of resistance here. He avoided losing the D pawn so far.
He's got to keep the rooks on.
And the team has won the match. Black is just trying to get the win to get the win.
Well, maybe Black should bring his king all the way around back to C5 or D4 or something, and then chop that D pawn with the knight.
I think you're right, but it's hard to think like that with, a minute on your clock.
Pretty deep into the future, Paul, with 1 minute left.
It's all that I have left. I can't calculate, so I just make broad plans.
Or you just, I don't know.
Yeah, the illegal moves on chess.com.
Like the street chess with make a move and take a pawn off the board.
Yeah, we were talking about that, I think, at one point. Black might be able to win now just by rolling in with the e-pawn. Well, it should be a winning position anyway, or unless White can find a way to grab that d-pawn.
And players do have a 10-second increment.
Oh, now this is looking very difficult.
I would play rook c3, king e3, and bring the king up to the d pawn. Or this way.
Seems it's going to happen.
Rook c3, king b2, king e3, rook d6. Yes. But then couldn't I just play rook d2 check, Kyron, and take your rook? I don't know. Oh, no, my rook's on c3, yeah. Nobody swindles me and gets away with it.
And everyone, when this round is over, the standings will be posted shortly after. And we will be back. We are not done. We will be back for round 3 of the U.S. Amateur Team West. We will start at 4:30. 4:30 for the final round. And we should have some top matchups with teams that are 2-0.
Well, it was incredible matches already in round 2.
Well, Black seems to be finding it a little difficult. Yeah, here he comes. He's like, I'm tired of this d pawn.
And let me just announce, just to clarify, our broadcast of round 3 will start at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. The round actually starts at 4 p.m. Pacific. So.
So is the TNM going to start giving out the prize for best swindle?
I don't know. It's kind of a fun prize. I know when Kyron let us know that he won it, everybody got excited. And Kyron, just so you know, there were a lot of mechanics players that emailed us and said, "Hey, I read that Kyron got the best swindle." So there were a lot of mechanics regulars excited for you. So, but yeah, no, something to think about. That's a fun one for sure. Who doesn't love an escape, right? Everyone loved Houdini, escaping out of things. Best swindle. I love that.
Yes, everybody's going to start to play a different style now.
Swindling is underrated.
All about the swindle.
Smurden's,
Who cares
Smurden's
about
book.
the chess? Give me a swindle.
Or give me death.
Sounds like it's very true.
That's how it plays out, right? Give me a swindle or give me death.
I think knight f6 will grab this pawn finally, but it's funny, black is just chewing up time.
I mean, the other thing to
can black really blow this here now? I mean, knight, yeah, there goes the knight back.
I mean, the other thing to consider here is they have a round at 4 p.m. and this match is over, right? I mean, the teams won the match. You know, you may want to start thinking whether
swindles. There's all kinds of different swindles. I think Richard Hack is, there's like got to be a zillion different kinds of ways of swindling.
It's about things you look for in the game when you're desperate, right? Is like recognizing like a pattern of
not making the best move because it just loses, stuff like that.
You had a couple of swindles in your arenas.
Yeah,
and actually when you did it, I remember you being quite proud of it. So much so, you started telling, "Hey, I actually left my queen."
I put my queen next to my opponent's queen and threatened to take it, and he didn't see it. And
I'm like, "Oh, man, there's a story that you'd be able to tell, right?"
Look at this. Black finally picks up the d5 pawn.
Now White's looking for the swindle.
White is definitely looking for the swindle. And well, barring a swindle, I think this is looking pretty good for black here. He's keeping all his pieces on dark squares. That's very nefarious of him.
Like he's not fighting fair, huh?
Time to go forward.
Yeah.
Teammates must be thinking, let's end this already.
Can't last long now.
Just push pawns, right? D5.
Yeah, he's reluctant to push that pawn up. I don't know why.
Want to make sure. There we go.
Finally.
If I didn't know any better, I'd think white was trying to swindle black here.
You know, there was one swindle I'm remembering from a Tuesday night online we did where I think it was Adam Mercado was like a queen and a rook down.
Oh gosh.
Do you remember that?
I think I do remember
and
that.
And then somehow he promoted one and then he forked and then, you know, he won a couple of the rooks and like that.
There's a very odd thing that can happen when you're playing where you go down the rabbit hole, if you want, you know, so to speak, of making bad moves. It's weird. It's like a chess death wish.
Push the e-pawn and threaten checkmate. Oh well.
Oh, this is mate in one threatened here. White avoids it, of course. Maybe this will end up with a Lucina position or something. Look at this. He loses the pawn.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He almost did. Almost lost it. I thought he had. That knight is so tricky.
See, this is where, as an organizer, the increment sort of bites us a little bit.
Delays the round.
Oh, shouldn't he gone forward? Maybe not.
I think white is, you know, really hoping for a miracle here.
Yeah, pawn to d2 is coming. That's it.
Please, d2.
Black's got plenty of time.
And John McCumsky's in the chat. The increment delays the computer TD. That is absolutely correct. And John McCumsky is not someone I want mad at me.
Good fight.
There we go. Oh, all right. Fantastic. And I think we will leave it there. Fantastic round. It was fun to see the matchups, and looking forward to this next round, which begins at 4 p.m. if everything goes well. I know the computer TD, they have a lot of work to do to get it going, but the broadcast team will be back shortly after 4:30, and we'll bring the final round of the day, round 3 of the 2021 U.S. Amateur Team West. So before we go, who can we send our viewers for a little bit? Come back at 4:30 p.m. Pacific and catch the action of the final rounds. But for now, we sent you to Chess Dojo previously, and I'm looking at everyone here. And let's send you back to the dojo, because now David Pruis is in there. So thank you, everyone, and come back to us 4:30 p.m. and we'll cover the top tables of the U.S. Amateur Team West. All right, bye, everyone. See you in a bit.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.